Already started. All right, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the She is Hope, She is series class with Stacey Friedman. Really excited about this class today. It's something new and interesting. Stacey is a certified integrative nutrition health coach, certified HMR practitioner, educator, and author. She's also a wife, mom, and passionate advocate, and a mentor for women who desire to live healthier, happier, freer lives. I'm so excited to have you be a part of this because She is Hope LA is here to help empower and educate women and get them back into the workplace. And any way we can uplift people, we're looking for it. So Stacey, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it from here.
Thank you so much for having me today. And thanks to everyone who is watching live and who's going to watch the replay. I'm so excited to share the topic for today. So part of my journey as a health and empowerment coach and someone who's spent a lot of time and energy the last few years really healing my trauma, healing my inner child, really trying to work, because I have two children of my own, really working to kind of break the intergenerational patterns of trauma for my family. One of the biggest, most incredible awakenings I had along my journey, and Tisha, I think, is it in speaker mode right now? Because I'm seeing you. I just want to see if I'm.
I think so. Hold on.
Can you guys see me? Is it okay? Or are you seeing Tisha as I'm talking? Might be my computer.
Yeah. Want me to make you the host?
Seeing you.
Better.
You're seeing me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can see you. Yep.
Whoever's speaking should be showing. So yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at you, Tisha. You are beautiful, but I'm going to take it off my mode here. Okay. So one of the most amazing things that I discovered along my healing journey was this, the idea that I am not just a really sensitive person, just someone who's really emotional, but actually a highly sensitive person, an HSP. When I learned that this was a thing, like an actual thing out there, I grew very excited to learn about what that means for me, what that means for my healing, what that means for breaking these patterns that I'm looking to break in my family, and the patterns that got passed down to me. And along the way of discovering what a highly sensitive person was, I then realized, oh my God, there's this thing called an empath, and I'm that too. Woohoo! Oh my God, like there's these two things I never knew I was. And what a difference the education made for me in learning how to heal myself. And when I say heal myself, what I really mean is resolving past trauma memories that were still living within me, feeling more empowered in my life, having more of a voice, wanting to speak up more for what I needed. These are the kinds of things I'm talking about. So learning what an HSP was, learning what an empath is, was so freeing, because I realized I navigate the world very differently than 80% of people out there. Who knew? 20% of people are HSPs. We're only 20% of the population, the entire world. So we're only 1 out of 5 people. And to me, that was everything. Knowledge is power. So I now am passionate about helping other women, the clients that I work with, figure out for themselves, are you an HSP? Are you an empath? Because that's a really important piece of the puzzle when you're looking to heal from your past and live a more empowered, claim your voice, live free kind of a lifestyle. So I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint that I have prepared to kind of share with you and educate you about what is an empath, what's an HSP, how are they the same, how are they different, and what does it mean for me? The name of today's workshop is called Unlock Your Superpowers. And the thing I love about being an HSP/empath is that I legit have superpowers. And if you are an HSP/empath, well, guess what? So do you. We all have superpowers, let me say. Everyone has a superpower. Everyone has a gift. But HSPs and empaths, man, we are seriously superpowered. And when we can heal and clear out some of the trauma, some of that heavy energy that we carry with us so easily every day, our superpowers become amplified. Our gifts begin to get really big, and then we are able to be of service to other people. And many HSPs and empaths are people who feel led, to help others, right? Probably everyone in this room right now. We feel called to serve, to help, to heal. So it's a very important part of our journey if we are looking to make a big difference in the world, to help people, for us to clear our own stuff and understand why that's so important as an empath or an HSP. So here we go. Can everyone see my screen now? Okay, so there will be spots today where I'm going to stop and we're just going to talk, or you can journal if you're not feeling like you want to talk. Okay, so there will be some breaks throughout, but I encourage you to take yourself off mute anytime you want to, or type into the chat any questions you have as we're going through. And I promise to stop every now and then and look through the chat to see if there's anything there. Okay, so here we go. What is an HSP? So a highly sensitive person. This is a term that was coined by Dr. Elaine Aron. This is like her baby, the term HSP. She wrote The Highly Sensitive Person, which I highly recommend you look into if at the end of this presentation, you're like, wow, that's me. I need to look into this more. Get her book. So HSPs, we have a very low threshold for stimulation. So we can become overwhelmed in like under 60 seconds. We can find ourselves feeling completely overwhelmed and we need a break. We need to step away from something. We feel like we want to crawl up into a cave. We're sensitive to light. We're sensitive to sound. We're sensitive to smell. We have an aversion to large groups generally, although some of us as HSPs can be introverted, but we could also be extroverted and highly sensitive at the same time. So there's an interesting combination that you might find you are. We need massive decompression time after a busy day, a busy week. And our transition from high to low stimulation is very slow. It takes us time to come down. And that's really important to know, especially about yourself, but also if you have a partner or a child or someone in your life, maybe you share living space with who is an HSP, and they come home and you're like, okay, let me hear about your day. And I want to do this with you. And blah, 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 blah. That person, that HSP, needs some time to decompress before interacting. So it's good to know not just about yourself that you need that, but also the other HSPs that are in your life that you didn't even realize they were. HSPs love nature, very connected with nature and animals. We're the people who watch the little YouTube video about the cat and we're like bawling and we're in like tears on the floor, puddles. Oh, there's the dog right now. Hello, little love. See, the dogs are already here. We love animals. We love nature. We are so connected to that world. Another trait of ours is we get to see, we have this amazing ability to take like a bird's eye view of a situation. We can see why other people may not understand something. We don't get so caught up in a situation at times. We can actually kind of rise above and see a bigger picture. It's one of our gifts. It's one of our traits, one of our superpowers, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And that is extremely helpful, not just in your personal life, but in your relationships, at work, and whatever roles that you take on in your life. That's amazing that we have that ability to do that. Another thing about us, not such a good thing, we can overthink anything, pretty much anything. So we are a mixed bag as HSPs, but these are generally the traits that you would look at and go, okay, so now maybe you're getting, oh, maybe I am this HSP, huh? So Dr. Elaine Aron, if you Google her, she has a quiz that you can take that tells you, it's like 14 questions. I think it's 14 questions, and you can answer yes, no, or how much you are of this trait. And you can see where you fall on the spectrum. So you're not just an HSP or you're not. Some people are on the spectrum of being a highly sensitive person. So you might be in the middle, you might be on the lower end, like some of this you connect with, but not all of it. Or maybe you're like every single thing on that list, that's me. So you're probably very high on the spectrum of where you are in your sensitivity. So, there's a lot of, wiggle room in here. You don't have to be either you are or you're not. So this is just a little, I thought this was really funny. It just illustrates how we can overthink anything. So I'm going to give you a minute to read through this little funny comic. So take a screenshot of it. Maybe you could read it again later. It's a lot to take in, but basically it's this person, they sent an email file to someone who needed something and the person writes back, thanks. And that highly sensitive person is like, oh my God, that's such sarcasm. I can't believe they said thanks. Why are they being so sarcastic? So sometimes we tend to read into someone else's tone. Sometimes we can overthink tone. Sometimes we can overthink someone's response to something. So it's one of those parts of being an HSP that I find, at least for myself, I have to be careful. I have to be a little bit careful not to overthink too much, because I have a tendency to sit around and think about things for way too long and that wastes my energy. So I giggled because we have to laugh about our sensitivities. Being an HSP is not easy. It is not easy to be a highly sensitive person in a world that was designed and created for the 80%. It's not easy. And we have to understand that if we don't find a way to laugh sometimes about our sensitivities, the world can feel like a very overwhelming place. So I like to show these two quick clips. One is from When Harry Met Sally, and one is from Friends, if you know that show. And it's like an HSP doing her thing. So I'm going to stop the share and pull that up for us all. And hopefully you'll laugh with me. Okay, I got to find so much on my screen. Okay, can everyone see YouTube on the screen, friends? Okay, resume share, that might help. Okay, hang on, bear with me, technology. Resume share. Sorry guys, let's try it this way.
Don't worry about it. I'm thinking of When Harry
How
Met
about now?
Sally. There we go. Yeah, I see
Do
it.
we see Friends? Okay, we're
Yes.
gonna do Friends first. So if you know the character Monica from the show Friends, you don't even have to know her. When I show you this clip, you're gonna be like, yep, I get it. So this is a highly sensitive person.
I'm out of words. Should I just?
Oh wait, can you hear the sound? I don't know if I shared. Okay, I shared sound.
I am not high maintenance. I am not Chandler.
You're a little high maintenance.
You are on my list.
Sorry, but you're not easygoing, but you're passionate, and that's good. And when you get upset about the little things, I think that I'm pretty good at making you feel better about them. And that's good too. So they can say that you're high maintenance, but it's okay because I like maintaining you.
I didn't even tell him to say that.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop for a minute. One of the things I want to share is that we as highly sensitive people can often be called high maintenance. A lot of times we are labeled as high maintenance, too sensitive, overly sensitive. And when people don't understand what we really are, which is highly sensitive people, it feels like a slap in the face. It feels like criticism, judgment, insult, and it doesn't feel good. This Friends clip I bring to our attention because Monica is a highly sensitive person. She needs things a certain way to feel safe in the world. And you can see even in our pop culture, we're labeling that, right, as high maintenance. So if anyone watching this is feeling like, oh my God, I've been called high maintenance my whole life, or I've been made to feel less than because of my sensitivities, I want you to know that this is the time in your life, starting right now, this very day, that it is October 30th, 2021. This is the day you're going to reframe that language for yourself forever. You are not high maintenance. You are a highly sensitive person, and there is a big freaking difference. So this is a process, relearning what high sensitivity really means. Okay. But there's a lot of hurt inside of a lot of us because we've been in relationships with many people before who have made us feel less than for these special qualities that we have. So it's very important as part of our journey to connect with others who are like us, because remember, we're one of 5 people in the world. 4 out of 5 of the people you know don't get you. They don't understand what it's like to be that sensitive. They have no clue. So it's sort of a responsibility now. You better find your HSP friends. You better get out of the closet and start talking about this, because we're out there. We're all out there. We just need to find each other so we can help each other navigate all the challenges we face and help us uplift each other so we can lean into the superpowers. I'm going to come back here. Here's another funny example. Sorry for the, here we go. Oh, technology.
Well, all I can think of was when Harry met Sally is, I'll have what she's having. It's that thing. That's all that's going through my mind.
It's not that one, although I love that
Close.
one. We're in the restaurant though. We're in the restaurant. So here is another classic HSP doing her thing.
I'd like the chef salad, please, with the oil and vinegar on the side and the apple pie a la mode.
Chef and apple a la mode.
But I'd like the pie heated, and I don't want the ice cream on top. I want it on the side, and I'd like strawberry instead of vanilla if you have it. If not, then no ice cream, just whipped cream, but only if it's real. If it's out of a can, then nothing.
Not even the pie?
No, just the pie, but then not heated.
Uh-huh.
What?
Nothing.
What can I get you?
I'll have a number.
Okay, so here we see it again, right? Highly sensitive person. Food sensitivities. How many of us have food sensitivities? Textures, temperatures, food can't touch, food has to be separated. We legitimately have sensitivity to these things. And the way that Billy Crystal looks at Meg Ryan is just hysterical. He looks at her like she's crazy, like she's got 80 heads. And it goes back to my point again that it's okay to be highly sensitive in the world. And as Sally does, maybe it's a little brusque, but she speaks for what she wants. She knows how she likes things, and she's not afraid to ask for what she wants, right? She's actually a really good example of an empowered HSP, right? Like she just says it like she needs it. And that's it. She moves on. She moves on. But it's funny, right? We got to laugh at this. So sometimes in my family, I have a husband who's not highly sensitive. Maybe he is, but he doesn't realize he is. And I have 2 children who are both empaths and highly sensitive. So our house, there is a lot of highly sensitive energy constantly moving through the house. Everyone's reacting to each other's energies, right? So it's a place where we have to talk a lot about what's mine, what's yours. Hey, this is something I really need right now. Don't make fun of me for it, Jake. Don't pick on me, Emma. Right? And I have to teach my kids how to stand up for what they need. We also laugh a lot. We also have to laugh a lot because someone wants Alexa, turn on this music. And then the other kid's crying, I don't want to hear it, it's too loud, right? So there's a lot of like education and language and discussion in my family about what it means to be a highly sensitive person. And if you live with people who are highly sensitive, I encourage you to have the same conversation. If you're the highly sensitive person, please talk to your family about what it means once you really start to educate yourself, because it's really hard when they don't get it. It's really hard. So this is an opportunity for us to either do some journaling or to share whatever you feel more comfortable with. I just want to know from you, from what we've talked about so far in terms of being a highly sensitive person, does that resonate? What are your strongest sensitivities, and what is your relationship like with your highly sensitive nature? Is it something you hate about yourself? Is it something you hide about yourself? Is it something that you have claimed and you're very comfortable in your high sensitivity and your friends know about it and your parents know about it, and you've set yourself up to know that this is part of me? It's not all of me, but it's part of me. So does anyone have anything they want to share on this topic? You could journal or share in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever feels good.
I know for me, I've kind of struggled with my sensitivities because I've been told by pretty much everyone in my life that it's too much. It can't be handled. You shouldn't act like that. You shouldn't want that. You're overreacting, blah, blah, blah. And that mostly had to do with like, now as I'm like becoming an adult, I'm understanding like, oh, that has to do with them. Like I was my sensitivities and my trauma was triggering them for some reason. And the way that they reacted was a reaction to their triggers, which was cruel, which was, well, not cruel, but not great. And it was the exact opposite of what I needed. Like they were like confirming my anxieties and my fears and all that kind of stuff. So like now I'm like an adult out in the world and everyone's like, go figure it out. Since I'm 23, they're like, go figure it out. You got your whole life ahead of you. And I'm like, am I allowed to do anything now? Can I say anything? Can I be anything? Because like every step I take, I feel like someone's like breathing down my neck or judging me just because that's what I've had to experience.
Wow. Thank you, Maya, for sharing that with us. Thank you.
I can share. So I found out that I was an empath like only probably a couple years ago. I'm 40. So it like changed my world because what had happened was I just stuffed it down. So I heard like I'm too sensitive or like, I got worn down really easily. And so I was like, just keep pushing through. Don't be lazy. Keep going, go, go, go. And then I got really bad anxiety. And so I was taking like antidepressant medication, anxiety medication. Then I was getting full blown panic attacks. So mine like just got really bad and then I just crashed. And so I've like, then my therapist, it was like a newer therapist and she was like, you're an empath. And I was like, what the heck's an empath? And so then she started like exactly what you're saying, pointing all this stuff out. And so since I've met her, I went from like 90 milligrams on my anti-anxiety medication to 20 milligrams and I'm almost off. I'm just like weaning myself off of it because it's like, oh, okay. Like, kind of like Maya said, like, it's not like I'm absorbing a lot of other people's energy. I'm realizing how to like do techniques to like calm myself out, don't do too much. Like when I teach my classes, or doing certain things, like I now have my own business. So I'm able to actually make my schedule, like carve out time for like, okay, like namaste, like calm down. I sleep a lot. So then Stacey, check this out. This is a new element that just happened. Have you ever heard of human design? So I'm a reflector, so not only, and this is where I love that you say it's a superpower because it is switching your mental state. Because when I heard I was an empath, it was like, okay, I can handle that. When I heard I was a reflector, I started crying because a reflector is like 1% of the world's population. So not only am I sensitive, it's like, it's like I was told like you're the most sensitive ever. You absorb every single energy. Like it's like but they call us like the unicorn. So it really is like, you're reflecting communities, you're reflecting people. So I've actually started using that superpower recently, I would say, in like my business, with my dance business and seeing like feeling these bigger energies from women, and reflecting that. And like, I just got off a dance, event last night and it was like these women didn't want to leave and it was so powerful and women were like, you are tapped in, like it's incredible. I still have to learn how to not absorb all of it because it's such big energy and I'm getting better. Yeah, so
that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Cause I know people that are listening and watching are like, yep. So yeah, you're also a reflector. So human design, another element of self-exploration, definitely check that out. If you're listening, that's a really beautiful piece of the puzzle too. But you're getting us into the conversation of empath now. So what we just kind of talked about was a highly sensitive person. Now I want to talk about empath and we're going to see like, how do they connect? So what is an empath? Just take a look at any of these memes and you'll see what an empath is. I should say an unempowered empath, an unempowered empath, an unaware empath. Aren't they hysterical? Like, I think this is freaking hysterical. So empaths. Here are the traits of the empaths. So empaths share all the traits of the highly sensitive person. So if you're an empath, you're also a highly sensitive person. Not every highly sensitive person is also an empath, but empaths, you get the double whammy. You share all the traits of HSPs. We are super responders. So we have extremely reactive neurological systems. It's good for you to understand, why do I respond like this? Well, because your system is wired differently than everyone else, 80% of people out there. Empaths lack filters that others have that block out stimulation. Our threshold for sensory overload is extremely low. This is me in my house. It's like the kids are talking and my husband's tapping his fork on the plate and maybe the dog's barking and I'm like, I can't, shh, everyone, shh, I can't. It's this overload. It's overload, right? We're often labeled as too sensitive, too emotional. Lots of shame has built up in our systems over time because of the judgment and criticism from other people who we might call them cruel. And I could validate that. But I also like to open this door of curiosity, like, do they even know? Do they realize who I actually am? Because maybe I don't really know who I have actually been my whole life, and I've never been able to share that. Maybe if I expressed more clearly to the people that I love in my life, what upsets me, what puts me into that where my lid is flipped and I'm not here anymore, maybe those people would be so willing to treat me differently, to interact with me differently. So I don't mean to make it seem that the people in our lives who have caused us or contributed to the feelings of shame or low self-esteem we might have. I'm just saying that for a lot of them, they just literally don't know better. They don't know better. They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. We are anxious in crowds. And the reason why, and this is me in the mall, I love it for 30 minutes. And then it's like, I am beelining, get me out. I need the exit door, get me out of a crowded store. It's like the flip is, it's very fast. It happens. I have to leave. And the reason is because we all have these subtle energy fields outside of our bodies, like 2 inches to 6 inches outside of our bodies. That's your energy field or your aura. Well, guess what happens when you're around a lot of physical bodies? Guess what you're picking up on? Guess what you're feeling? All the other energy of everyone else around you. No wonder you need to leave really fast from that party or from that group event or from that Zoom call with 100 women on it. You are literally, energy fields are overlapping, and it does happen virtually too. And I think a lot of us have maybe experienced it in the last year and a half with the pandemic and being on Zoom so much and being online so much. You can experience that same type of energy overload virtually. So it's actually really good that we have a small group today, right? Empaths have a lot of trouble discerning their own energy from someone else's energy. So they may be feeling happy. All of a sudden, a cranky person walks into the room and now they're not feeling happy anymore. And they're, oh, now I'm cranky. Am I cranky or is it you're cranky that I'm picking up? I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. It can get very confusing when we don't have strong boundaries because we have porous boundaries. And it's part of the work of becoming a more empowered empath. It's learning, how do I make my boundaries less porous? How do I learn what my energy feels like? So I know when it's me or it's someone else's. And this takes time and work and energy and effort and a teacher to teach you, right? An empath, and this is the part that is not typical for HSPs, we have profound spiritual and intuitive experiences. I know if you're listening and this is you, I don't even have to explain what that means because you already know what it means. And that's not typical for HSPs, but it is for us. So what is the dangerous side to being an unempowered empath? I do want to talk about this because I think this is where I really come in my role of being a health and empowerment coach and being an HMR practitioner, which is a really lovely way to help empaths clear out all these energies that aren't their own. But many empaths end up using alcohol, food, or other addictions to block or numb their sensitivities. They often shrink, deny their own gifts in order to fit in or avoid judgment or shame from others. I have a really wonderful client and friend who calls it pretzeling. It's like when you pretzel yourself into a shape so you can fit in with those around you to avoid what's coming if you are who you really are. So there's a lot of pretzeling that happens. Empaths can suffocate the people they love because they pick up naturally on tone of voice, body movements, nonverbal cues that their loved ones may not be aware of or ready to share. So quick little itty bitty story. My husband, when I walk into the room and he's there, I can tell in 1 second, he had a bad work call, he's in a really bad mood, something triggered him, whatever. He's not even aware of it, but I am. And so what I used to do, and now I know better, is I would say, honey, are you okay? Did something just happen? Are you all right? Like, do you need a hug? And he'd just be like, whoa, like hands up, like, excuse me, like, I'm okay. Often he doesn't even realize that he's in that state yet. I can feel it, but it hasn't even occurred to him yet. That can feel suffocating to those that we love. So it's just another piece to consider, right? To allow the people in our lives to come to their own conclusions in their own time. That we don't always have to run and heal and fix and solve for other people, because when they're not ready for it, it can feel a little bit suffocating. So just a little tidbit that was very powerful for me to realize for myself. Many empaths silence their loved ones' strong emotions and feelings. Communicate, wait, what? How did I word that? Silence their loved ones' strong emotions, feelings, communicate because they can't be around them. Oh, yes. So sometimes if you're a mom, I would think that's a good example. You may have to shut down your kids' tantrums or your kids' big emotions and big reactions. You might feel like you have to, I can't, nope, go in the other room. Please don't cry. Turn that off. Not because we're not caring. We are the most caring people in the world. We have gigantic hearts, but sometimes it's hard for us to be around other people's big emotions when we're not knowing how to keep our own boundaries up, right? So sometimes we tend to do that to our loved ones. We silence them, and that's unfair for them, right? So it's learning for all of us, right? There's no pointing fingers or blaming. It's just learning for all of us. Many empaths spend a lot of time living in the future. I think Brene Brown has a good term for it. It's like over-functioning. We're always over-functioning. We're always looking for where will there be a situation coming up that's going to cause someone else discomfort, sadness, anger. How can I get ahead of it? How can I overfunction? Like we overfunction a lot to try and keep peace, to try and keep order, to try and keep everyone feeling happy and copacetic, because yes, we don't want them to feel not so great, but we don't want to feel it either, because if we have porous boundaries, we're going to feel that thing too. So we can also be these over functioners living in the future, not being present, not being here, not being in the now. And the last bullet, it should be the first bullet. It's the SOS to anyone watching. We are magnets for narcissists, magnets to prey upon. We are very vulnerable to getting sucked into toxic relationships. I heard someone jump in. Go ahead, jump in. Lots of hands going up and voices. Yeah. What do we hear? What are we feeling? Or no, did someone want to say something? Maybe not. Okay. So because we're so compassionate, because we have these gigantic hearts, because we have so much empathy for everybody else, narcissists who have none, and it's how they're built, it's how they're made, and they cannot change. Research shows everything I've studied about narcissism, they are people who will not change no matter how badly you want them to or believe they can. They can't. They're limited. It's not their fault necessarily, but it's like trying to get blood from a stone, right? So the best advice for those of us who are in relationship with narcissists or toxic people, energy vampires, there's no way to fix that. You have to protect yourself, or you have to leave the situation. You have to leave that relationship or put up massive boundaries with that person. Okay, so that's like a really big SOS. Excellent book, Dodging Energy Vampires by Dr. Christiane Northrup. If you're interested in learning more about these energy vampire people, these narcissists, and she's got a great book with lots of empowering strategies, tools, meditations you could do, ways to be around those people. Sometimes they're our husbands or our partners or our mothers or our children. And so what do? How do we can't just leave like that, like with the snap of a finger. So sometimes we can leave and sometimes we can't. And so we have to really learn how to fortify ourselves, how to heal ourselves, how to wall ourselves up, put up those really protective boundaries, be in touch with our own energy, take exquisite care of ourselves so that we can function and even thrive around the narcissists that are in our lives. This is my favorite slide in today's presentation. So these are your superpowers, ladies. Take them in. We experience exquisite passion and joy. Our hearts go out to others when they are struggling. If no one's hearts are going out to others when they're struggling, who's going to heal the planet? We're the ones. Who's going to do it? Right? That's a superpower. We feel happy for others in their time of joy. We appreciate and enjoy the richness of nature, animals, water, all the elements, fire. We love it all. Sand in our toes. It's one of our best ways to stay grounded and to heal. We are wonderful nurturers, friends, and partners. And I think a lot of the empaths I work with, they have a lot of shame about their wanting to fix and help and heal. And sometimes they've driven people away because of that. But that doesn't mean that that's not still a beautiful part of who you are. You just have to learn how to manage your own side of the street, how to stay on your side of the street. It's a beautiful quality to have. You're the best moms, caregivers, nurses, teachers, therapists, coaches, healers. You are the best. We can read people, which deepens our connection with them, and it can also protect us. So we have deep intuition. When we're in a crowd and we see that person, we can feel their energy is not feeling safe to be around them. We know to walk away. We know to go the other place. I'm leaving this room. This doesn't feel safe. That's a gift that you can feel someone else's energy. You can use that to your advantage. But when you're not clear, when you're full of other people's energy from all the years and all the shames in there, it's hard to stand empowered in that truth, that you can feel that person's energy and it is the right thing to walk away. We're passionate, we're deep, we're creative. I mean, none of us can do small talk, right? It's like the worst freaking thing to get in a conversation with someone where it's like you talk about the weather or like we can't do it. We're deep. We want to talk about this. We meet people and we're like, okay, tell me your life story in 2 seconds or less. You're at the grocery store. You're all laughing. See, you're at the grocery store and someone comes up to you and all of a sudden you put your thing of bread on the conveyor belt and they're like telling you legitimately their entire life story. They're crying. They're looking to you for support. And you're like, what the hell? I'm just here to pay for my groceries. They can feel our depth and our hearts, right? So we can't just be walking around with these open, porous boundaries and like helping every person that walks down the street, right? We have to learn how to save it for those that we desire to give it to, right? And we have the power to positively change ourselves. We are amazingly capable, incredible, powerful people. Don't ever forget that. So I think I'm going to skip these 5 next slides for time's sake, but I'm going to tell you they are on my website. I have a free download on my website, and it's 5 pandemic tips for empaths. So I have 5 ways for you during the pandemic. I know we're hoping, fingers crossed, we're post-pandemic or we're getting close to it. But during the pandemic, especially, I found it very challenging for empaths. So I came up with this list of strategies, things for you to do to what I like to call fortify your pillars, your 4 pillars of empath strength and empowerment. So when we think about the things we need to thrive as empaths, there are like 4 pillars that I teach in one of my courses. It's called the Empath Training Lab. And in the Empath Training Lab, we talk about protection. We talk about grounding. We talk about clearing. Protection, grounding, and clearing. Those are the 3 big pillars of what I have come to learn. That's my system of being a thriving empath in the world and in business too. To be able to heal, to help others heal. As an empath, massive protection I need to be able to help others, right? Protection, grounding, and clearing. And then the 4th pillar is daily self-care. We can't avoid that one. And that's a tricky one for a lot of us. That can get really hard to stay consistent with. But those are like the things we need if we really want to be of highest service to ourselves, to our higher mission, to the people in our lives we love, to those we serve, our families, our clients, all of them, our animal friends, our animal babies, our fur babies, right? So it's an important job that I'm tasking you with. It's like, you've got to take freaking good care of yourself. You've got to learn how to work with your sensitivities and love them, not feel like they make you wrong or bad or broken. They are your best traits as a person. Goddess gave you these traits for a reason. And I like to say, and maybe I'm crazy, we've been called. We came here at this time as empaths and HSPs to heal the world, to heal the planet, to heal Mother Earth, to heal our pets, to heal the patriarchy, to heal all of it. So the more healed we are, the more we can stand up and have that call, find that calling and step into it in the way that feels right for us. So, okay, I'm almost done. I know this has been so long. So here's another just opportunity to share, or an opportunity to just journal a bit. For you as an empath, what is the best part and what is the hardest part, if you're feeling called to share? And let me check the chat. So hard to watch the news, Megan, yes. And, I have a lot of friends I have a lot of empaths in my life because I found my tribe, and I've built this big community of sensitives and empaths. We don't watch the news. We'll watch it every now and then, or we're in and we're out, or we'll ask, someone else, what's going on? What do I need to know about the news? But it's very hard to watch the news. Corporate America. Oh my God, yes. Energy vampires and narcissists. It's all patriarchy. Corporate America is so hard to be in when you're trying to do this work of healing. Oh, Karen, are you here? I am so sorry, love. I didn't even see you on this call. I'm so happy that you're here. And yes, they describe you 100%. Awesome. Spot on. Yeah. So this is us. This is who we are. So what's the hardest part? Anyone want to share? Or the best part? Hi, Karen.
Hi there. Sorry, I tuned in late. I got stuck on another Zoom until like half an hour into your presentation.
Oh, that's okay. Just happy to have you.
Yeah. Now, I think, one of the hardest parts for me, I learned that what I tend to do is throw myself into helping others, especially people who are not helping themselves. And then I get invested in, are they taking my advice? Are they getting better? And I learned through therapy, I got to stop that. That's not, I have a natural inclination to help, to teach and to help. That is not the direction it needs to go. So yeah. I learned I have to find other ways to be helpful. So yeah. that spoke to me. Everything once I tuned in, everything I heard you say, I was like, yep, bingo.
Yes. And so boundaries, like everything you're saying, like boundaries, yes. We have so much work to do on boundaries, right? And I think it's hard. It's hard to find those boundaries, and it's hard to practice them because it feels so unfamiliar and uncomfortable at first. But when I work with my clients, we talk about the cost of overextending, overgiving, overhelping, over functioning. We talk about the cost. And when we can really see what it's costing us, I think that's when we can get invested in, okay, let me really do this deep work, whatever it is, whether you work with a therapist, a coach, you do some HMR, whatever your modality might be, or whatever you find to be the thing you need. That's when you really start to see, oh, if I stay on this path, wow, the resentment that I feel, right? Because that's the cost for a lot of us. It's resentment. When we overgive, when we expect others, expectations are a no-no as well for us. When we are overgiving and so invested in all these other amazing people's lives that we care about, but they don't follow our advice or they don't do the work. And I'm thinking of a lot of my women's partners. Man, does that lead to a ton of resentment. And that's hard to live with, all that resentment. All it does is eat us up inside, and it keeps us in a toxic state. And like I said before, we came here because we're light workers. We're meant to be in the light. We're meant to be healing and helping and we have a higher calling. to heed, if we can clear ourselves enough to hear it, but it requires putting those boundaries up. And until we realize the cost, what it's costing us, I think it's very hard to get to that place. So we do want to love on people. Like, that's why I'm a healer and a coach, because I get to do that work, but I'm not just offering it to everyone everywhere I go anymore. I'm waiting for people to come to me when they're ready, right? So we get to that point where we can still offer help and healing and love and all the things that people might need from us, but it has to be when they're ready for it and they come to us to ask, right? So, and that's really freaking hard. We're not used to that. We're not used to doing it, but we can do it. I'm telling you, I've done it. I'm like the greatest example of empath in recovery, overgiver in recovery, people pleaser in recovery. I am in recovery. I've been in recovery for a while, and I'm telling you, I've been lucky enough to find a few amazing tools, to help me do it. So it's possible. Okay, so I wanted to remind you that on my website is that free resource that I shared. It's the 5 pandemic tips for empaths to know. So you could download that on my site, luckygirlhealth.com. I also have on my website, on the Heal HMR page, remember Heal HMR, there's a 20-minute before bed guided meditation that is really helpful when you've had a long week. Tisha, I'm thinking of you. There's a lot going on and you just want to kind of unload, let go of a lot of the stuff that just is like stuffing you up in your body. So you could download that for free as well. And I have a podcast that I do with my beautiful friend, Jennifer Roth. It's called Sensitive Soul Support. You're welcome to find us. We're on iTunes and Spotify, like all the places you'd find a podcast. That's where we are. So that's another way for you to stay connected. If anything today resonated and you'd like to stay in touch with me, I'd love to, to have you join this community I've been taking years to build of incredible women, incredibly strong, resilient, powerful women who have a lot of healing to do. And we do it together because you can't do it alone. So it's a beautiful community. I invite you into mine in whatever way, shape, or form feels good. I offer all kinds of things. And again, you can just, poke around on my site or listen to the podcast and, know that you're not alone and that I have lots of resources. I have lots of books I could recommend. I have other podcasts I could recommend. But it all starts with you and you starting to read up on it. And the Empath Survival Guide is another fantastic book by Judith Orloff, the Empath's Survival Guide. Anyone who joins my Empath training lab, they get the book for free. I send it to them because it's like the Bible for empaths to have. It's your new Bible. So
yeah, that's a good book. And I like her book too.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a quiz. I think Judith Orloff also has, Dr. Orloff has a quiz. How much of an empath are you, right? Again, it's a spectrum. Not everything is you're either this or this. There's a lot of in between too. So ladies, that's the end of this presentation. I'm happy to hear from you, anything that you want to ask or anything you might want to share, any reflections coming up for you or, this really landed. I'm going to pick that piece she talked about and I'm going to take that and run with it because it's a lot. I acknowledge it's a lot and it's a journey, right? I've been on this journey for almost 4 years now. And I used to be overwhelmed. I used to be burnt out. I used to be tired. I was not in touch with my own body. I was not in touch with my own needs. I was in the throes of helping and pleasing and doing for others. And when my mom died, it changed everything for me. It changed my trajectory and it led me to become more present in my own life. And that's my call to all of you is how can you be more present in your own life? You are so needed. You are so needed. So if you need support, I also have a 30-minute connection call, free connection call on my website. At the bottom of the page, there's a button. If you just want to talk to me about anything from today, or you have a friend who you think could use some support or just direction, how do I heal from all this? How do I get rid of all those shame messages? How do I stand in my power more? Click that button, have a chat with me. It's a no strings attached. Let's just talk to each other. This is my higher calling. It's finding the empaths and the highly sensitives to help them stand more in their power. It's a ripple effect. So they can heal those they're meant to. So please use any of the resources that I offered today if you're not sure where to go with this. And just know you're not alone. There's lots of people like us. Even though it's only 1 in 5 in the world, that's a lot of millions of people, right? So there's a lot of us out there. We just have to keep looking for each other and finding each other and staying with each other. We need tribe. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and your energy.
This was
Yeah.
really terrific. I downloaded everything from your website.
Yeah,
I
good.
was sharing with a couple of friends that I know could benefit, but it was fun because I knew I was an empath and I know I give, and people always joke, they're like, you pretzel yourself to help other people. And I'm trying to find that self-love. I've been struggling with it. I'm still learning, over the last few years, but I love giving back. I love helping other people, but I have to find that balance and the boundary. So I still struggle with that. So this was a great reminder. Thank you. And I did
You're
want to
welcome.
ask you a little bit more about like the HMR stuff, if you wouldn't mind kind of touching on that.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just like beaming. I had an incredible session with one of my empath clients this morning, and I can't even, because empaths are so connected to spirituality because they have these intuitive and profound experiences. What can be done in a 90-minute session in HMR for an empath is freaking miraculous. I am still beaming from what she was able to do. So HMR it's holographic memory resolution. It's got a really long, crazy name. Holographic memory resolution. And I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to talk about. It's on my website if you want to read the description and go to the man who developed it, who's an incredible guy. You can read his words on it. He's very academic. It's hard to follow. The way I can explain it is that it's a modality, a very gentle way for you to heal yourself using your own gifts, your own inner wisdom, and your connection to your higher power. It helps to create feelings of lightness. It decreases emotional pain. It decreases physical pain in the body from chronic pain. People suffer with chronic pain. It treats migraines, even fibromyalgia, allergies now. Brent Baum, the developer of HMR, is doing massive research right now. I think we've just gone to clinical trials with the FDA, and it's being studied now and tested, because this is going to be a game changer for people who are on antidepressants or pain medication. He says, and I believe, the biggest scandal of the century is that so many people, their problem is that they have unresolved memory in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's unresolved memory that's not being treated. It's being medicated with drugs and talk therapy, which, sorry, love therapists. Therapists are my people. Doesn't help the things that some people need. Talking doesn't do the trick. HMR is something that goes deeper, goes into your cells. And basically what you do in a session is we talk. It's a verbal technique. Can be done in person. I haven't been doing it in person, and it doesn't matter. It's still just as powerful through virtual communication. But you basically surrender the process to your body, and we find where in your body, where have been encoded all these traumas. All of these times you were told you're too much. All these times you weren't supported in your life the way you needed to be supported. All these times you were abused. All these times people called you names. All these times you were hurt. We literally go into the body. We let the body show us where those things live. And then we very gently and without re-traumatization, we connect with that younger part of ourselves that's frozen in that overwhelm, because that's what happens during trauma. We freeze in a T-1 little millisecond of time. We freeze. So each of us is our age. Like, I'm 45, but I still have my 5-year-old inside of me who was traumatized when my grandfather yelled at me. And I have my 10-year-old version of me that was traumatized when my friends called me, to whatever, right? All these little bits of me are still living inside my body. And so HMR is a way to find those younger parts, to give them what they needed, to use any resources we have that are spiritual. We could use higher power to help us do the work, to save them, to give them safety, to give them support, to give them all the resources, the people they needed, the words they needed to hear, the animal they needed to have in their lap when this thing was happening that would have made them feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, the tree they needed to be standing under when they saw that horrible thing with their eyes, and now it's imprinted in their eyes forever. So we give them the resources, and it's so gentle and it's so beautiful. I just guide you. I don't do any of the work. You do all the work yourself. I just give you some help when you need it. And it's like you reestablish the dynamic flow of energy that's meant to be a part of your body and your energy field. Because when we have those moments of freezing, the energy in that part where it's encoded, where the trauma gets trapped, it turns into stagnancy. And the cells and fields around that part of your body become compromised. That's why I think a lot of us have a certain part of the body that's ailing. That's where a lot of the trauma landed for a lot of us. It's also like that, when you realize people who keep going to doctors, they keep looking at scans, they don't see anything physically to help us understand what's in the body, what's gone wrong. It's probably because it's freaking memory stored there. And the Western world, right? We have a long way to go when it comes to Western medicine and understanding true holistic health, mind, body, and spirit. So HMR is just this amazing, beautiful, it involves color, somatic, and energy psychology. We use color in HMR to do the healing. Color, legit color. Color has healing frequency. It has vibration, and it restores those parts in our body where there's sort of like these, like I like to say, these black holes that are waiting. And when you put the color in there after you resolve the memory, you reestablish with the colors that connection that never happened that needed to. So I'm explaining it in my crazy Stacey language, but it is, you can read about it the more technical way of what it actually does. It's very scientifically based in trauma induction, the people who know about trauma induction and how it's stored in the body. You can read about it on Brent's site. So if you go to my site, luckygirlhealth.com, go to the Heal HMR page, you'll see how to get to Brent's site if you want to learn more about Brent and his modalities. So you can learn about it there. There's also some YouTube videos he's put out on holographic memory resolution. You could look up his name, Brent Baum, Baum. He's such a love. He's such an amazing soul. A very gifted man, very gifted. He has such an interesting story and background. And if you fall in love with HMR the way I did, you can use it for yourself. You could heal yourself. I use it on myself all the time. I use it on my kids. My husband sometimes lets me use it on him when he wants to. You can heal your friends and family. See, that's a nice way for empaths to heal. If they want to heal other people, you could get trained online. They have levels 1, 2, and 3 training online. So you can train yourself how to do it. I'm happy to, of course, share it with you, but it is a beautiful, gentle, powerful way to clear out all the yuck of your body, all the trauma that's still living in there. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to say or ask or add or anything? And if you want me to stop recording, I can before you do it. Let me know.
I was just gonna say, I've done HMR with Stacey. I think I only got to do it like 3 or 4 times, and it was fantastic. I can't wait to go back, and it helped me understand like how to like backtrack. So like when I am like reacting to something in a trauma moment, I'm able to be like, okay, when was the last time I felt this feeling? Who was it with? And I'm able to like almost like backtrack to like the core of the first time something traumatic happened and that memory. And I'm able to kind of like, she said, like, you're able to give your younger or older self, like whatever, past life self, whatever they needed in that moment to be okay. And I mean, it definitely helps. I mean, you will, it's kind of like you're putting a Band-Aid on it and you have to just keep nursing the wound. It's not like, you don't do it once and then you're like, perfect, I'm fixed. But it helps you become like more aware of yourself and how other people process things and like where things are coming from. So it's a really great experience. I would recommend it to literally everyone. Like, it's fantastic.
Thank you, Maya. And I like that you said past lives. I mean, let's go there because you said it. So let's go there. For anyone who's like, yeah, maybe I believe in that. So a lot of people too, and with the empath especially, because we have such porous boundaries and because we're such deep feelers, we can take on other people's trauma. Like you could literally have taken on the energy trauma of someone that you're close to, and it's not even yours, but you're walking around with it. So we clear that out of your body. So we help you see where that wasn't yours. It's not even yours to carry, right? So we give it back to who it belongs to so they could heal it. And then you fill in your body with the colors where you had that energy. And I will not lie, I've had many clients who are pulling up traumas that are not their own. They can say, this isn't mine. This isn't mine. And so we do the work we need to figure out, well, how do we get rid of it if it's not yours? It's from another lifetime. It's from someone we don't even know, someone whose energy got stuck on ours at some point along this journey we travel. And so we give back what we need to, so that we are only responsible for this, our side of the street, our stuff. And we learn how to do that. So you open the door, my friend. I'm walking through it, the past lives. I know some people are like, think it's a little crazy, but I am a firm believer now. I never used to be. Now I know what's true for me. So yeah, you might have some past life trauma in your body too. It's very possible.
Stacey, I think the nugget that like really resonated with me for your workshop today is the more you're healing, the more your light worker kind of abilities are coming out. And I think recently I've been starting to see that. I've done some really heavy like lifting and healing myself, and then in my dance and everything, like I'm starting to see like women, I'm starting to see auras around them. I'm hearing sounds. And it's every time I teach, and I would say it's only been the last like 3 times that I've done a session, like taught sessions. And so it's getting louder and stronger. And so, and I don't know if I've always had it. So, but I think that's kind of been the thing of like,
you have.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So it's just like I'm coming into my power. So, right, like your superpower. So I liked that chart also. It was, and someone else said like 100%, like they were everything. And I was like, oh yeah, like everything. So it explained it really nicely, and also kind of like and making me excited instead of being afraid of it. I'm not really afraid of it anymore. So I was really at first, because I came from corporate. And so I was like, oh crap, how am I going to navigate being this sensitive person? It was like, no, girl, you've always been sensitive, but you're a badass because you were able to like navigate that for 20 something years. And now you're on a whole new journey and a whole new path.
Incredible, Megan. What a story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes. And that is the biggest nugget to take away. This is your superpower. Whether you're a highly sensitive person or an empath, it's a beautiful, amazing, incredible power that you have. It's just learning how to wield it and how to heal what we need to, so we can really manage it and know what to do with it. But I love that you said, like, you're starting to see auras, and like, yes, that has happened to me as well. The more I clear my trauma, the more my gifts become amplified. And I want to leave everyone with this last thought. Just because you have gifts doesn't mean you have to choose to use them. You have sovereignty around, oh my God, what does this mean? Do I now have to be an intuitive guide for other people? Do I have to now talk to the deceased? No, you do not have to. It's a choice you have. It's a choice you have. And I know for a lot of women, that's really scary for them to start to discover who they truly are, to discover their superpowers, to really be with them, because they feel like a certain pressure and a fear. What if I don't want to see people's auras? You don't have to. You have the sovereignty. You have the right to put up a boundary and say, Spirit, I know I have this gift and I'm choosing I don't want it right now. I'm not ready for it. Thank you anyway. So I want to leave you with that. It's not a you have to. Once you clear yourself, once you're healed, you don't have to. Do not have to. It's your choice. And you don't have to feel bad if you don't want to see other people's auras and you say no to Spirit. I don't want to see them. There's lots of other people out there who can do that work. So don't feel pressured.
Cool. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share or say or add before we close this up? No? Stacey, thank you. This was really terrific. I appreciate it. It was an excellent class. And thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you all later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.